Hey everybody, welcome to a new video. My name is Adrian Field, an expat entrepreneur currently living in Lisbon. Now today is a very exciting day because in about 10 minutes I am going to be leaving for my SEF appointment, which is the immigration appointment here in Portugal, and it's the very last step of what has been a very long process of moving here legally with all the right paperwork, etc., that began all the way back in October of last year, and we are now in the month of July. So I can't believe that this day has finally come. I'm obviously a little bit nervous, but I think, hopefully everything should be okay. It's a very new experience because I arrived here on the D8 visa, which is the digital nomad visa, where you apply for 2 years and then can be extended. And this type of visa only came out in January, so there are not so many people who have now gotten to this step of the process where they have their SEF appointment. So my appointment today is in a place called Alverca, which is about a 30-minute drive from where I am in the center of Lisbon. I'm going to be calling a Bolt in about 10 minutes, so I have to be really quick in this video, but I just wanted to basically share what kinds of documents I'm going to be bringing with me, and then we'll report, I guess, at the SEF office, and then right after, fingers crossed that everything goes well. So let me just walk you through some of the things that I'm going to be bringing with me to this appointment. Number one, obviously my passport that has my visa in it. That goes without saying. Now, by the way, all of the things that I'm bringing with me today, I found in the Facebook group called Americans and Friends in Portugal. They have a document there that has a checklist of everything that you need to bring to this SEF appointment. And I just recommend using this group and its resources because it will save you thousands of euros versus hiring some kind of like agent that holds your hand through this process, but they really don't do anything special for you and they just rob you blind. I really don't recommend paying anybody for something that you can do easily by yourself. So now additionally, because I arrived into the Schengen zone of Europe, not directly into Portugal, but through Paris, I have my original boarding pass that shows that I came in from Paris and then through to Lisbon because they want to see what your entry was into Lisbon if it's not stamped inside your passport. So those are the basic things. Now we get into the documents. I'm coming hopefully over prepared. There are some things that I've seen people post in the group that were asked that are not like normal, so I'm a little bit okay. I don't want to keep saying I'm nervous because I don't also want to like bring in this energy of nervousness, but anyway, here are the things that I am bringing with me. So my NIF document, one of the very first things that I got in this process, because with the NIF you need to open the bank account and get your lease and all of those things. So then we have the application, which I had originally submitted when I applied for the visa back in the Indonesian consulate. So I just reprinted basically another copy of it, which I think I'm gonna have to sign when I'm there. Then I have my travel health insurance. Again, this is something that I had purchased and made ready for my original application, and it's still valid for several more months. Now I saw that some people had posted that their SEF agent asked for their NISS registration, which is the national like social security health thing. But what I had understood is that you can't even get that until you have your residency. So yesterday I went on the website and tried to register, but I didn't get any update as of yet. So hopefully that won't be an issue. Next thing is a water bill actually that's in my name just to prove my address, because I saw that sometimes they ask for that. However, I mean, in my case, I feel like they shouldn't, because in my original application, I submitted a 2-year lease, a copy of my lease, which has been registered at the Finanças. And then I'm also bringing copies of all of my rental receipts for every month that I have paid for rent, which is also from the Finanças, so that they can see, that like my lease is active and I'm paying, just in case as well. I've also printed out a copy of the lease, of my 2-year lease on the apartment. And then, because again, I applied for the D8/digital nomad visa, I brought a copy of my Florida, Secretary of State filing that shows that I'm the owner of my company. And then also a document that basically I just wrote that says that I'm the owner of the company and that I'm gonna be paying myself. Also, the declaration of authorization for the background check, but again, this is something that I already submitted, so I don't know if they're gonna ask it again, but I just felt like better safe than sorry with all of this stuff. And then I'm also bringing my business bank statements again to show like the income that's coming in. Now, I have heard that they're usually not even interested in that and they only want to see your Portuguese bank statement. So that is the only part where I'm a little bit nervous. So I went yesterday to my bank to get the bank statements and have them stamp it. But I'm just nervous in the sense of, you know, like I had originally funded this account with 10,000 euros, but then I was using the account to pay my rent over the last, you know, several months. So I did top up that account, but I just don't know exactly like what it is that they're looking for, if they're looking to see a specific amount of money coming in every month. But hopefully, you know, this is a conversation that we can just like have and it won't be a big deal because again, I've already proven my ability to, you know, support myself. That's why I was originally accepted. Anyway, I must go now. I'm gonna call the Bolt. It says that I'm gonna get there by 12:10 and my appointment is at 12:30, so I cannot be late. This is very important. All right, guys, very nervous, but fingers crossed everything's gonna be good and I will report to you, not necessarily from the SEF, who knows, maybe a little iPhone video on site, and then afterwards I'll tell you all about how it went, so stay tuned. Well, everybody, you are now looking at Portugal's newest official resident. I am so happy to report that everything went really well. I'm going to share with you my entire experience at the SEF office, but what a relief the fact that now I have this in my hands, which is the temporary document until my physical card actually arrives in the mail. It's just a culmination of, as I said, this experience and this process that began all the way back in October of last year, and I can't believe it. Like, I kind of need to pinch myself to realize that it's over. Like, this thing that I had been still a little bit nervous about, actually not that nervous, but a little bit nervous, is now done, behind me, and successful. So, as promised, I'm going to share with you what happened, what I brought with me, and what the process was actually like for me as someone who came on the D8 Digital Nomad visa. So let's start. As I had mentioned, I jumped in the car. We got there even sooner than expected because I had this Brazilian driver who was going about 30 to 40 kilometers over the speed limit to get to this town of Alverca. And there was a bunch of people waiting outside, and I was a little bit confused when I arrived at the office. I didn't know if I was supposed to wait outside or, you know, just go in. And so ultimately I walked inside, and there was this old lady security guard, and I told her that I was here for an appointment, and she checked for my name on her list, and then she said, come in. She gave me a form to fill out, and this form was different from what I had thought that the application was, because as I mentioned, let me look through my documents again to give some context. I had said that I brought another copy of the original application, which I had submitted to the VFS office when I did the actual, like, you know, applying for the visa, but it was different. So she gives you a form to fill out that you just put your name and some basic information, what kind of visa that you're requesting, and then sign that. And then there was a really friendly lady who came out and she looked at my passport and she looked at my documents, and that was really like it. Actually, one thing is that she asked me if I had my NISS, which is again something that I had seen only yesterday in the forums about that someone had been asked this as well, and I told her that I don't have the NISS yet. I had just applied for it yesterday, and thank God I had the idea to do this, but this morning I took a screenshot of the website that said that you've applied for the NISS, and I included it in my iCloud. So when I went there, I said, well, I only just have a screenshot, and she said, you can email that to me. So that was some good forethinking on my behalf. Like, I don't know that it would have had been a problem if I didn't have it. Again, I had thought that the NISS, you can't even apply until you have your residency, so I was a little bit confused, but in any case, it's good that I read that and I went ahead with it anyway. So ultimately, you know, I had this big stack of papers, and the only thing that she wanted from me was the gas bill, or what was this? No, this is my water bill that had the confirmation of my address, and she wanted my Portuguese bank statements, and she did take also the 2 documents that I provided that proved that I'm the owner of my company. And of course she took my NIF documents, and she took also just one like recibo of my rent, which is, from the finanzas when your landlord like registers how much you paid in rent every month. So she took that, looked at the documents, and then said, okay, now just wait in this room basically, and we'll call you when we are ready. So about 30 minutes went by, and then finally someone had called me in, this really also nice girl. I should mention the first woman who looked at all my documents, she was very friendly also and very proficient in English. When she saw that I was like a little bit not fluent in Portuguese, she just switched to English and was, again, just super friendly and warm. And so the second lady was just speaking to me in Portuguese, but I told her it's not a problem, I understand. And at this point, all I did was I went into this room and she said, okay, so we're gonna take your picture, take your fingerprints, and you're gonna sign. Went over to a little machine. The machine takes your photograph, and then you put, your 2 index fingers there for the fingerprint, and then you sign. And then I went and I sat down at her desk, and she, scanned all of my documents, scanned my passport. She actually gave me back. She said, oh no, I don't need your water bill because we already have a confirmation of your address from the rent receipt. So I obviously came over prepared, I just brought everything in case, who knows what they ask you. And that was really it. So when she scanned all the documents, then she said, okay, now here's the amount of money that you pay. I think it was like 170 euros. I pay with my Portuguese debit card. And then that was really it. And then she gave me, again, my paper that says that I am now a temporary resident for the next 2 years, and told me that it could be up to 3 months for me to receive my physical residency card in the mail. So I have to say that the process went much smoother than, it went as smooth as I could have possibly hoped. The only thing that I had been worried about up to this point was just how they would confirm, or what they would be looking for in terms of how much money was in my Portuguese account. Because again, with the D8, you're supposed to be earning on average of like 2,800 euros per month minimum. And so my average bank balance in my Portuguese account has been around 7,000 euros for the last 3 months, because again, I included the last 3 months of statements. And the thing is, of course, like as the owner of my business, I'm just not only putting money into my Portuguese account because I still use my American credit cards. I also have a business in Indonesia. So my personal situation is quite complicated with my finances. And it's not like all of my money is just getting transferred into one bank account. No, I have bank accounts in 3 different countries, and I have money coming from different places. So, I was just worried, like, how am I going to actually prove that? And that's why I had brought also my business bank statement showing that there was more than, the 2,800 euros a month coming in. However, again, they didn't even want to look at that. They only wanted the Portuguese bank statement. And it was fine that my average balance was around 7,000 euros a month. Because as I said in the beginning of this video, when I originally applied for this visa, I funded that bank account with 10,000 euros. But I have been using that bank account to pay my rent since the month of January. So every month, money is coming out, and I've made 2 transfers into that account, of 3,000 euros each time. Again, just so that I would be able to show, like, in case they were really looking in detail, where's the money coming into your Portuguese bank account in terms of salary. So even, for example, yesterday I had just made sure, like, I topped up my account, but it didn't seem to be an issue whatsoever, because again, when I originally applied for this visa, I had to already prove my self-sufficiency in terms of money, and by doing that, I had given my business bank account statements, my personal bank account statements. I showed that I had a credit card with a limit of $50,000, that, like, I could obviously take care of myself in addition to the 10,000 euros in the Portuguese bank account. So I know, again, like, this situation that I'm in, everybody's different, right? Like, everybody has a different amount of money, everybody has a different type of work situation, but I'm only speaking about me, what I provided, and obviously it worked out fine. I just had one light go out, guys. Sorry if you've just noticed now a change in the lighting on this video, but anyway, I'm going to continue. So I think that it really depends on what SEF location you get. It's a random assignment, basically, based on, I think, whatever has availability when they assign it to you. I think in that sense, I was lucky that my office was only 30 minutes by car away, because I've heard stories about people getting assigned to an office that is much, much further, like on the other side of the country, basically. And I think that also it depends on person to person who is taking your application, on what they might want to see or not want to see. In my case, I came, I think, over prepared, to prove my domicile, to prove my, money, all of those things. And the only thing that kind of had tripped me up, as I said, was the NISS. But luckily I had seen that in the forum posting yesterday and registered on the NISS website yesterday. And even though, again, I didn't have anything other than a screenshot showing that I had applied, that sufficed. And I didn't even have it printed out. I just emailed it to the office and they were able to just, I guess, put that in my application, or it didn't bother them. I was also surprised in that sense. They didn't even want to see my private health insurance. And they also didn't even care about the fact that, as I said, like I had saved my boarding pass because I had come into the Schengen zone through Paris. And she said, no, it doesn't matter because you have the visa. So we don't need to see your arrival stamp or, your boarding pass. So everything went really smoothly. The whole process took about an hour because I arrived 30 minutes early and they let me in the building at that point when I just, filled out the application and then sat down. And then it was maybe around 50 minutes later or something that they finally called me in to take the pictures, take the fingerprints, pay the money, and then give me my paper. And that's done. So, wow, I mean, it feels really good. It feels so good to know that that process is over and that I am officially a resident. I just feel like I can breathe a really big sigh of relief. You never know how these bureaucratic things are gonna go. And again, just really, really, really happy. So thank you, Portugal. Thank you for allowing me to be a resident. And I'm really excited to, live my life here. It's really cool. Like, this has been my dream, as I've said many times now in these different videos, to be living in Europe, and I feel very pleased overall with my decision to move here and the people that I'm meeting and kinds of the experiences that I can have, which are so vastly different, obviously, from what I was living in Bali. But I'm not gonna drone on about that because you came to this video to know about this SEF process. So it's done. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Until the next time, take care, and I'll see you later. And good luck for anybody going through this process.